Hello there, Ray here, and behind me I have a simple wither rose farm that I designed for you guys. This farm produces an insane amount of roses, and it's fairly simple to build up. All there is what you see right here in front of you, and you will end up with more roses than what you'll ever know what to do with. Now the wither rose is a flower, and what it does is it will do the wither effect towards whatever mob touches the flower. So if I go over here, you see I'm giving the wither effect for 2 seconds, and then when I leave, it will go away. But if you stay in it, then you'll continue to get the wither effect until you die. This is very useful in making mob farms, especially ones where you cannot use magma blocks, as mobs that don't take fire damage won't take any damage from the magma blocks here. But you can see like the pigman, he'll still take damage from the wither rose. And there's very few mobs that cannot take damage from wither effect, such as the wither skeleton as well as the wither. And Logical Geek made a really cool wither skull farm using this, where he was able to kill off the other mobs that would spawn in the area, but he sorts out the wither skeletons since they don't take any damage. Check out his farm down in the description. I use these wither roses in my simple witch farm as well, where the witches will eventually die from it, but I actually have to update that farm because they changed what blocks that wither roses can be placed on. So now these are the main blocks that wither roses can be placed on top of. So you can do all the main types of dirt. You can also do soul sand, which is slightly lower, as well as farmland, which is a little bit taller than soul sand. You can't do any of the sands or anything like magma block, but you can do the netherrack block. It also doesn't work for any of these blocks over here. Wither roses are also used to craft up the suspicious stews. So it takes wither rose, empty bowl, and both types of mushrooms, and this will make a suspicious stew, and this stew will give you the wither effect. You also can use the wither rose as a flower to feed a brown mushroom. And then once the brown mushroom eats a flower, when you use an empty bowl on him, he'll give you a suspicious stew of that type of the flower. So this one is going to give me a wither effect, very similar to like crafting it, except you don't have to waste any mushrooms on it. Now I did make an automatic farm allowing you to be able to make these suspicious stews using these brown mushrooms and a bunch of other cool tricks. So if you haven't seen that video already, be sure to check it out. And this is a kind of unique way to get the wither effect. By eating the stew, you see we get the effect for a little over 7 seconds. And this is one of the ways to get the advancement How Did We Get Here, which you had to get every single type of effect in the game of Minecraft at the same time. But it's probably easier just to stand in rows to get that effect when needed. Let's get into how the farm works. The way that the farm works is we have a spawning platform here where the enderman will spawn. The player is AFKing up quite high. The enderman will run towards this enderman in the center. They'll fall down this killing chute where they'll be put at 1 health, and then what we got them is in front of a wither, and the wither here sees them, and he'll be shooting off his wither skulls, which will hit them. And when a wither will hit a mob with a wither skull and it dies, it has a chance of dropping a wither rose, and what we got is a collection system, which is picking up those roses and just putting them into these chests, where we are ending up with tons and tons of roses as well as ender pearls. Now this is an updated version of my previous wither rose farm, which I built during the snapshots. A couple different things changed, so I'm going to go over those, as well as explain in more depth how everything is set up here. Something that they changed in the 1.14 snapshot is that the mobs now need line of sight to attack things. So we can't just have like a chicken above the wither and have the main head of the wither be attracted to the chicken and use that to turn the wither off. Because what happens is when the wither runs out of targets to shoot at, he'll become bored. And if he has nothing to shoot off, he'll start shooting off blue wither skulls. And these are wither skulls which will pretty much destroy anything except for bedrock and a few other blocks. And he will randomly shoot them about, in which case they could go off in the distance and destroy other things that you have in the end dimension. As well as it could put some holes in this farm over here. So you can see he's bored right now, he doesn't know what to do, so he's going to start shooting off skulls. Mobs needing line of sight to attack it is a very similar change you can see in like my raid farm, which I had to update because the villagers were not going towards the villagers without directly seeing them. We also see this in our dog farms, which are attacking skeletons. They won't actually attack the skeletons unless they have line of sight. Which kind of seems like a bug because if a dog would see the foot of like a skeleton, you think he could be able to attack it rather than having to see the head. And I did make a bug report on this, which I'll put down in the description. And because of this change, we can't just have a chicken like that. We actually need to keep endermen in front of him at all times, unless you have the farm turned off. So I made an off switch here, and this uses that little trick that I showed in the 1.13 snapshots, where if you have a block inside the wither, you can actually make him have all his wither skulls explode immediately when they're summoned in. Don't matter if there is a block there actually hitting them. And they actually kept this into the full release. This is a really cool trick that you can use to stop the wither from shooting off wither skulls. So you won't shoot off any blue wither skulls or black wither skulls using this trick. The way that works is that we have a piston here which is pushing a block inside of the wither, and when there's a block down here at his foot level, whenever he tries to shoot off a projectile, it will immediately come in contact and will explode. So the way to run the farm is that you would first want to actually go all the way up, but either by flying or using a ladder to your AFK point, which is up here, and let the Endermen kind of spawn in on the platform. Then they will run towards the center. After you get a few Endermen going down to the Wither, this will allow the Wither to start shooting at them. And then you can go ahead and turn the farm on by flicking that switch and removing that block. Then the Wither will start to shoot at them, and he'll be occupied for quite a while. Then you can go back up and AFK at the top. This way there is always Enderman in front of the Wither, and he's unable to shoot up the Wither skulls. And then when it comes time to turn off the farm, all you have to do is fly down and flick this switch. Now you don't have to be too particular about this, as the Wither is pretty slow at shooting up the Wither skulls. Now I'll show you guys how to summon the Wither in here. So what we're using here is an entrance gateway portal. These are the portals that are summoned after killing the Ender Dragon. So you can either use the entrance one, which is this one here, the exit one, which is the one at the outer end islands when you go through this one, or the random gateway portals, which are the ones that will just naturally generate randomly at the outer end islands. And then what you want to do is you'll want to remove this portal block so the Wither is unable to teleport using it. Put in any block that is smaller than a full block that can't be waterlogged, and then just shift click water up against it. This will destroy it. And then come in underneath and put in your Wither down here. Just make sure that there is air blocks on either side of his foot here. And then put in the heads. And then the Wither will be summoned in. He will do some explosion damage, which could damage your farm. So if you don't want that to occur, you can just put in some water right there. And that way it will null all of his damage. Then you can just remove the water. Now your Wither is in place. You can go ahead and put the block inside of him so he's unable to shoot off Wither skulls. Now the other thing that you have to put in is the Endermite, which is up here. So I'll show you guys how to put in the Endermite. So what you'll need to do is you want to put some scaffolding around so that the Endermite is unable to escape when he is summoned in, or accidentally pushed off, because that can happen. And then what you want is a ladder in the center here. You want to have your iron bar about 5 blocks up, so you can see this is where the iron bar is located. That way the Endermen are unable to come in here and reach him. Then you just come in the top and you come in with your Ender Pearls and just throw them up against this ladder here, and you'll eventually get an Endermite to be spawned in. You have to use Ender Pearls. You can't even use like a spawn egg even if you're creative. Otherwise Endermen won't be attracted to that type of Endermite. It is kind of random. It might take a lot of Ender Pearls. So it will help to have the feather falling enchantment on your boots just to take less damage from the Ender. Once you get Endermite in there, go ahead and use the ladder to get out. And then what you want to do is you want to name tag him, otherwise he will be able to despawn even if the player is nearby. Then you can start removing the scaffolding blocks from the bottom up. That way he's unable to climb up and get to you. And you can see how the Endermite is partly on top of that iron bar, and that way he's unable to fall off. Let's go ahead and remove the rest of the scaffolding, and you'll notice that the Endermite will not try to jump off and get you because he feels like if he jumps he'll fall down that hole, which he will not try to do. Now all the Endermen should be able to see him sitting on top of that iron bar and will rush in and run down the hole. So all you have to do is AFK at the AFK point up there. The AFK point is around 195 Y, and then the spawning platform down here is a 40 by 40 block area, but you could probably make this smaller and still get decent rates. Is at Y level 115. Then you have the Endermen just drop down this chute here, and then they'll end up on this platform down here, which will put them at 1 heart, and this platform is at Y level 72. From here, there is a clear view from the Wither's line of sight, which is this red line here, to the Enderman's line of sight, which is this red line here, and the Wither will just shoot Wither skulls from its main head directly over here and hit the Enderman. Every time a Wither skull kills a mob, there's a chance it will drop a Wither rose, and when it drops it, it will try to plant it on the ground if the block that it's planting on is a valid block. But since the stone here is not a valid block, what will happen is that the rose will pop off as an item immediately, then the hopper minecart will be able to pick up all the items through the blocks and then come over top of this hopper here, which will pull the items out and store them into our chest down below. Now in my previous farm, I had hoppers directly here that were picking up the items, and once in a while a rose could actually be planted onto the hoppers, which was causing the Enderman to die from that Wither rose. So this setup is a lot better because you don't have to worry about the roses being planted. This opening here is pretty big, but we have some walls down below which is preventing the Enderman from being able to walk out. Now since the Endermen are low health, as soon as the Wither hits them and does any damage to them, they will die immediately. You might see that some of the Endermen, when hit, try to teleport out to the land around it and then die, but they don't actually drop any items here. What they'll do is they'll immediately be pulled back in. You can kind of see it that they're flying back into the farm, and then they'll drop their items over here. Also, since the player is AFKing quite high up in the air, the mobs will spawn in a 128-meter sphere around the player. Therefore, we can concentrate all the spawns directly onto our spawning platform there, and we have none of the ender mites being able to spawn underneath the farm anywhere around here. And this is a lot better than my old design where I put down water to prevent them from teleporting down there. I also put down some cobble walls over top of solid blocks where endermen could spawn on or teleport to. But for the most part, endermen won't try to teleport this stuff, as when they are hit, they will immediately die. Now this farm produces over 1,300 wither roses per hour, so you won't ever have to worry about having a wither rose shortage. And then when you're done using the farm, you can just flick this lever, and that will put that block directly inside the wither, and then he will be unable to shoot any wither skulls outwards, including the destructive blue wither skulls. Now another thing that's a change is the withers are very unlikely to self-damage themselves. Even though he has all these explosions occurring really close to the wither, he's not actually getting hurt from them. So you really don't have to worry about the wither destroying the system down here. But if it does occur too often, you can always make a cobble generator which pushes blocks into him. A simple farm for all your wither rose needs. I have provided a world download to this world in the description, so you guys can see exactly how to build it up in your very own survival worlds or recommend this to someone else. If you guys did find this video interesting, I would appreciate it if you would show it a like and share it with someone else. And if you enjoy these unique, simple farms, I have a playlist with these type of videos, linked in the description. I'd love to hear what type of farms you guys think can be made out of these wither roses. You can tell me that down in the comments. I'd like to thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye bye!